So, I think most people are pretty jazzed about Terra Sterilization staying in Gen 9, at least for the time being, because, it's fun, it's wild, it's unpredictable, it makes for a crazy viewing experience. It's really reinvigorated a lot of people's interest in competitive Pokemon after the relatively drab Gen 8 OU. That's not a shot at Gen 8 OU being uncompetitive, just that, we got used to these big mechanics. Gen 5 had its perma weather, Gen 6 had megas, Gen 7 had Z moves and megas, and then Gen 8's defining mechanic was so obscenely busted that we had to get rid of it right away. And it's like, oh, well, this is kind of simple and parsed down. I happen to like that kind of thing, personally. But people were really excited when Gen 9 came around and there's Terra, and they're like, oh, this isn't as insanely busted as Dynamax. We can actually keep this one around, and it makes for, a fun experience. Now, not everyone is so thrilled about the idea. A lot of people say, come on, guys, this is clearly the most uncompetitive thing since Dynamax. It's ridiculous in its own way. And the fact that Smogon Premier League, the biggest team tournament and arguably biggest tournament period on Smogon, has 4 SVOU slots is not made some people too happy. And with this many slots and the wild nature of Terra Sterilization, you are going to see some bonkers stuff. Case in point, this game, I haven't watched anywhere near all of the SVOU games happening. I really should, just to find more wild stuff that's happened. But this one happened while I was, online, and I was thinking, oh, this looks pretty wild. So we see Mind Gaming, Michael Delbesta, too. Excuse my German. I can actually do a really good bad German accent. You know how sometimes... I promise I'll start the replay in a second, by the way. For those who are wondering, they're like, get to the point, I want to see what happens. Like, okay, I know. Good lord. But you know how in movies, sometimes you'll see, like, it's always like in a big, dumb Hollywood movie, where they, like, have a German character, quote unquote, and, like, the accent is so bad because it's clearly not a real, like, German accent speaking English. But it's not, like, enough either. It straddles that, boring territory where it's, like, it's not real and it's not, like, ridiculous enough. So my bad German accent is amazing. It's so over the top. It's like, ja, Heinrich, and I'll stop there. Unless, there are a million comments saying, yes, Kevin, you should narrate an entire replay in your awful German accent. Ja, would be gut, ja. The worst thing about those stupid movies is that to show the character's supposed Germanness, they always throw in, like, 1 or 2 German words, like, Guten Tag, I am Hans and I'm from Germany, except the accent isn't actually that fun. Ugh. Goodness gracious. It's not just German, obviously. They do that for, like, French and stuff, too. But, yeah, so that was super relevant. And moving on to the actual battle. So, forget the analysis. Let's just see the cool stuff happen. Because, Terra to me, like, I don't really have a strong opinion on how competitive it is or not. It's probably, not very competitive. But, since I'm not really invested in SVOU, then to me it's like the equivalent of, like, just watch stuff explode. Who cares? Of course, if I were a competitive SVOU player, I would be furious that this nonsense is in the tier. But it's so nice having that not be my problem, Anyway, so Chien Pao, who is insane, by the way. I've been saying, if you watch, like, the videos I did right when Scarlet and Violet were released, I was saying already, this thing is stupid. And I think more people are starting to catch on. But yeah, Chien Pao is nuts. And Mind Gaming leads off with Indeedee and summons Psychic Terrain. So, Mind Gaming does not have a Dark Resist outside of his own Chien Pao, and I can't imagine that Chien Pao is a very safe answer to Chien Pao. It's not very bulky, and Chien Pao is strong. And to say nothing of the Sacred Sword of it all. So if your opponent is switching Chien Pao into your Chien Pao, it's probably good for you, right? Like, it's like, oh, I'm gonna have a good time with this, because Chen Pao slams, pretty much everything else really hard. So, yeah, 3 Pokemon weak to Dark, Pokemon neutral to it, 2 Pokemon neutral to it that are not renowned for their physical bulk, and the 1 Dark Resist being, a frail mirror match. So, everyone watching this was expecting him to just go right for the crunch, and Mind Gaming goes to Armarouge. I don't know anything about what Armarouge does, by the way, other than what it's shown in this battle. And Michael goes for Swords Dance, which seems strange. I guess maybe he didn't want to crunch into Volcarona twice and risk incurring Flame Body. Which is fair, of course. I don't know though, because I don't know what sets Volcarona runs in Gen 9 either, so I don't know if it runs Roost or anything. But this team seems pretty hyper offensive, so I would imagine it's probably not very bulky, and that probably means it's probably not Roost either. And specifically for the reason that if you weaken Volcarona or take it out, then Scizor goes absolutely bonkers. I mean, not as bonkers. Well, I guess there's a fire type Armarouge, and it also is protected with Psychic Terrain, so Scizor can't BP. I don't know. It just felt like it actually helps Dragapult a lot too. Point being, Crunch seemed like the safe move, and everyone was surprised when Swords Dance was used instead. And Armarouge switches in and survives with the Focus Sash and KOs Chien-Pao back. It has weak armor. I didn't even notice that in the battle before. Well, that's pretty nuts. Yeah, that was the plan, to switch into Crunch, activate weak armor, get the speed boost, and force Chien-Pao out. So that would have already been pretty nuts. Especially since Psychic Terrain nullifies the 3 priority moves on Michael's team. But since he goes for Crunch or he goes for SD and then Crunch, then Armarouge is actually able to take Chien-Pao out, which is pretty wild. So that's an interesting way of countering, a wild, uncounterable threat. I guess he's not going to... It was actually a pretty good move because he doesn't switch into Armor Cannon, I guess is the move, very well. I mean, he's got Azumarill and Dragonite, but yeah, you're about to see why that was not exactly going to... I mean, I don't know if Michael goes for Crunch there, that he necessarily doesn't lose Chien-Pao, because he might see the speed boost and be like, alright, well, I can't switch anything else in. So, he might have just lost Chien-Pao anyway. So, now the real wild thing happens, though, because Azumarill comes in, Psychic Terrain, so it can't Aqua Jet, but it can take a hit, right? And Terra Psychic, oh, that's already bad, and Expanding Force, which is that move which does like 1 billion damage in Psychic Terrain, and Azumarill just drops. Whoa, so that's really something. And according to the calc, 0 bulk Azumarill has a good chance to die to just regular Expanding Force in Psychic Terrain. Now, I think Belly Drum Azumarill runs some HPVs. So, but Terra just pushes that way over the edge. And the follow-up is that Dragonite comes in, and through Multiscale, Expanding Force with Terastallization does 65, which is absolutely insane. So yeah, he wasn't going to switch into this even if he did Crunch right away with Chien-Pao. So, yeah. Now in comes Poltegeist, and not going to get KO'd by a Dragon move, which is interesting. Actually, I guess they don't. Oh yeah, Dragonites don't run. Keep forgetting this isn't Gen 5. Dragonite doesn't run Dragon moves, and instead it just eats the EQ. And is Psychic Terrain going to run out? Assumedly not, and assumedly it is going to be Psychic Terrain Indeedee, because otherwise this would be an incredibly stupid move. You just go to Poltegeist, Shell Smash, and they get picked off by E-Speed right away. But Shell Smash goes off, and Psychic Terrain stays active. So, yeah, it is going to be... it is a Psychic Terrain, or a Terrain Extender Indeedee. So, you know how stored power gets stronger with each boost you get? Well, there's a defense drop, so that's not a boost. But weak armor again on Poltegeist. I really like how this approach to offense with mind gaming, it's like, yeah, I can't counter things, so if I actually have to switch into something, I'm going to use 2 weak armor Pokemon, so that actually switching into things will give me a speed boost instead, and that just lets me pile on more offense, which is good because this team is supposed to end games fast. And with Psychic Terrain support, or Terrain Extended Psychic Terrain support even, then you are able to deny priority, so it's even more effective, this speed boosting tactic. So, really ingenious stuff. I really appreciate this. So yeah, weak armor is 1 boost, and then Shell Smash drops defenses, but also provides even more of a speed boost. So it's at +4 speed now, as well as, doubled special attack and attack. So this end stored power is in Psychic Terrain, and Michael's Dark type is gone. So stored power kills everything now. And Scizor, yeah, forget that steel resisting psychic thing. Yeah, this gets utterly shellacked. I don't know why that didn't get Psychic Terrain or stored powered instead of Shadow Ball, but I don't think it matters because Shadow Ball just destroys it. And stored power, and I mean, you could argue, yeah, but D-Knight would Psychic Terrain runs out in the last turn, and D-Knight could have E-speeded after. Like, yeah, okay, but then Qian Pao comes in, so yeah. Well, Hatterene too, D-Knight's at 35. So it really didn't matter. And Mind Gaming wins in 9 turns. Pretty impressive. So let's watch that one more time at fast speed just to see how quick this game was over. And you might be wondering, 9 turns? That's got to be the fastest anyone's ever won in a tournament like SPL, right? Yeah, it's close. I remember from back in my day, in SPL 3, which was 2012, there was a black and white OU game. By the time, that was just standard OU. That was a current gen. And it was Limitless versus Eternal, and Limitless used a hyper offense team with Azelf and Dragonite. And those were the only 2 Pokemon he used, because Azelf denied rocks and I assume exploded to get D-Knight in, and D-Knight DD'd and just won the whole game. 6 turns. I guess it would have been 7, but I think Eternal forfeited before. Eternal was a great player, by the way. I don't mean to humiliate him like this. But yeah, Eternal forfeited before he lost his last Pokemon or 2. But it still would have been faster than this one. I think there was 1 or 2 others that were similar, but that was still the shortest. But I mean, this is, still under 10 turns. That's pretty wild. So yeah, Scarlet and Violet OU is a minefield. Step on it at your own risk. I hope you enjoyed, and do let me know about that German accent thing. And if that was really offensive, then my apologies to the nation of Germany. Especially since it is my, a country that I'm right on the border with. So, yeah. I was just in Berlin twice in the fall. It was wonderful. I got to see Akira on the big screen. No, that was an experience. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.